So let's go.
Hello and welcome to the EV Cafe podcast.
Do it your bloody self then. Well, as you're all hearing, it's going to be chaos on this particular episode of the EV Cafe Takeaway podcast, a podcast that we all love. And it's all about a future that we all hope for in zero emissions, something or other. Anyway, this is going really, really well. But it's always good to be joined by the madman that is John Curtis. Welcome, John.
Do you know what? I think I'm the least of the three of us.
Oh, don't be so daft, self-deprecating. But you may be number two, anyway. But
That's
there we
been
go.
Said before.
But we have a genius in our midst. I'm sure he's not going to see himself as such, but or he might do actually. I'm not known normally for humility, but anyway, there we go. So we are always joined by innovators, pioneers, and collaborators within our industry, and we have a particularly special person in our midst, a guy, Ric Boullemier. He's probably going to correct me on the pronunciation of your surname, but Ric.
It's Rick.
Just Rick. Anyway, Ric, welcome.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, JC. It's an absolute bloody honour to be on the EV Cafe as well, because obviously followed you guys for many a moon, and it's always been a privilege to work with you. But it's weird being on this side of the microphone and this side of the camera.
I got to jump in, Paul, because I want to know. He says he's Rick, but are you Richard?
I'm Richard to my mum and to my dad when I'm naughty. So if I'm naughty today, you can call me Richard.
And have you ever been Dick?
Oh, often dicks. Yeah. Mainly just by Sam Clark, who has very, very schoolboy humour and showing his comedy side. He's got a very clever name to rhyme with Rick the
Indeed. Excellent. Back to you, Paul.
Moving on. Well, back to the studio. Well, I just wanted to compliment Ric, actually, on probably having, possibly it's a rival for the best set that we are speaking to you from. There was one other, Ric Parfitt Jr. Do go and check it out and compare the two. Is it Ric or is it Ric Parfitt Jr.? Both called Rick. Well, there you go. I didn't actually do that connection.
What, Ric Parfitt Jr., what an interesting chap he was at Goodwood Festival of Speed at the EV Cafe stand there.
Yeah, it was actually Carfest, but yeah, I mean, well done for...
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's the truth of good journalism.
Now then, I want to know what your favourite thing is on your shelves behind you. So if there was a fire and you had to grab one of those things to take with you because it matters most, what would you grab?
Well, that's a really tough one. I'd probably say the Generate Media skateboard, because I could get a quick getaway from the fire.
Which is a perfect segue into, Ric, who the hell are you? And actually, anybody that doesn't know who the hell are you has probably been under a rock for the last time. So do tell us, Ric, who are you and what do you do?
Great question, Paul. I'd probably say I'm the guy with the microphone running around at events, chasing people, trying to get interviews and get information out of people, because I'm a journalist by trade, and we've set up Generate Media, and the whole point of that was really to get other people's stories. So it's quite weird being on this side of the camera. So I love to ask the question, the hard questions, the silly questions, hopefully the fun questions, and get the right answers.
But why the EV space, Ric? Because I mean, I don't know whether you've done a lot of stuff outside of the space. Obviously, in your journalistic career, you will have. But what drew you to, I mean, working with some of the great and the good of the EV sector in particular, or zero emission particularly? What drew you, and why are you here?
I think, as with many of us in the EV space, Fully Charged was a big inspiration. The good work by Robert Llewellyn and Dan and the team there has definitely filtered down. And we went to the first Fully Charged, our first Fully Charged at Silverstone many years ago, met with amazing people like Fiona Howarth from Octopus, Robert Llewellyn, as I mentioned, and so many experts all in one place. And I think that's probably where we met you guys as well, because you tend to meet like-minded people. So that is how it all started. I then went on we were asked to film a a project out in the Middle East. It was called the Electric Vehicle Road Trip, and we drove thousands of miles in electric vehicles in a place that had very, very little infrastructure, but we were in some really awesome cars. And my first ever electric car I drove was the Tesla Model S P100D. Not a bad first EV to drive, and it was absolutely, it was the proverbial off a shovel, and loved it. I thought, this is the next car for me, and electric travel is the way forward. Anyone that thinks they're boring, drive this car. They're not. So,
okay, you rock up at everything electric. Why did you go in the first place? What was it that was sitting in the back of your mind that made you say, oh yeah, I'm going to go and have a look at this electric thing?
Well, it's down the road. It was really close. It was so that was easy. Didn't have any range anxiety getting to Silverstone for that. And just looking around, I love cars. I've always loved cars, and I just wanted to see what was out there. And the first thing you arrive, and there was a load of Tesla drivers who had donated their time to shuttle people from the car park to the main event. And then just went and saw everything. That it wasn't just all about the cars. It was about renewables. It was about battery storage. It was about all these different things that are a better way to do things. And I've always been quite an environmentalist. I've always liked to, I want to leave the planet in a better place than it is. So how do we do that? How do we inspire more people to do that? And similar to what you guys do is you bring out stories, you find people, and you help to get those stories out there. I guess with Generate Media, that's what my team does and aims to do all the time, is to help share those really good stories, because there are so many clever people doing amazing things, but they don't know how to tell their story. They don't know that they might have something incredible on their hands. They might be the nerds who are just making it all happen, but they don't know how to talk on camera or to share the story or even brag. And most people don't like bragging about what they do, present company accepted. And we're there to ask the right questions, put it all into a nice little video, give it back to them, get it out onto the right social media channels or whatever to help get that news out there.
And what you've done, Rick, it is really outstanding. For anybody that hasn't seen any of the Generate Media stuff that you guys have produced, please do go check out their website and I'll actually check out our website, because we've got stuff that Rick has done for us. The one that sort of rings in my mind is the train spotting or EV spotting that we did, which we did in Bath, actually, which is my hometown, or the city closest to where I grew up. And it was fantastic, and I still use the image of me on the car going "ha" as a picture, and it's just one of my favourite moments from any piece of filming. And
why did you like it? What was your highlight of that day? What was what did you get out of it?
I think we got out of it that it was very in tune with who we were. So, that was the real key. You knew that we like to have fun. You managed to personify each of us in the way that I think we like to be seen, slightly off the wall in some cases. You had Sarah as the sort of the person that was like the organized one and the intelligent one, and exactly, sort of the clock watcher. Sam, the posh boy in the back of the car being chauffeured. John just being as mad as ever, doing his thing. I've forgotten the main thing that you did, John.
I ran along with a rucksack with all my toys falling out. So I guess that's toys out of the pram.
That was at the beginning. That's it. Yes, that's it. And your feet.
What you've nailed there is, what we want. And I asked Callum earlier before we came on this. I said, I asked all the team, what do we do that's different? How are we special? How do we do things differently? And he goes, well, we find everyone's superpower and their niche. Yeah. And we know that no one other than JC in the industry can hold a room the way that JC does. And Absolutely. Focusing on that, what is his superpower? We know that no one in the industry knows more about vans than the van man. And, and everyone in the EV Cafe has their own superpower. And that goes for everyone that we interview. What are they bloody good at? And what are the questions that we need to feed them that will and allow them to share that story. And I think, whether it's Graham Cooper or Lorna McAteer or Toddington Harper, all these guys that we get to interview, feed them with the right questions, and they will, be able to churn out just amazing bits of info that other people might not necessarily have seen. And and then it's about getting it out quickly and timely to make it relevant and hopefully move the needle on climate change, have an impact, and do what we set out to do.
Personally, for me, what you did was you identified a superpower I wasn't aware of, which was the hug. And we had a conversation about a particular film we were going to do, and you said that my hug is a superpower, and I'd never seen it that way. And I've embraced that. You have actually created who I have become, because you have this observational quality and skill which few people have. You can see people as they are, not as they want to be seen. And it's just brilliant what you do. Do you ever feel that there's a bigger audience out there for you, that the work that you do is so impactful that it should be seen by even more people?
Oh, mate, if we had a magic wand, we could work out why the content that we make doesn't get seen by a bigger audience. And I'd love to have a chat with Mark Zuckerberg and the people behind the socials. I do wonder as well if there's big oil suppressing what we're trying to get out there. But, are we using the right hashtags? All that, we spend a lot of time in the analytics of it. So Lewis as well, loves the whole YouTube side of things. Where's the drop off on our videos, and what spikes things as well. So we do spend a lot of time going, that hook was rubbish. We need to redo the beginning of this video, because if you lose them in the first 3 or 4 seconds, that's it. They're gone. So what is the hook? How do you then re-hook throughout the video to make sure, and put the value in there? What is the value? So with this podcast, we might explain to people how to do a good hook, how to rehook it, how to keep people watching to the end, how to get people engaging, asking the right questions, but always creating that value as well. And that's where bringing in those experts and getting that value and using what they've got in their brains to hopefully inspire more people is absolutely crucial in what we do.
It does strike me, because whenever I'm talking to people about social media content and stuff like that, clearly the level of creativity and excellence that you bring doesn't always trigger the algorithm or get it seen by a wider audience, and it really does deserve to be seen by a wider audience. I love the content that you put out, particularly on Instagram. I see a lot of it, but then I look at some muppet doing something really daft, getting 40,000 kind of likes and goodness knows how many impressions and views, and whilst your content is getting engagement and to a growing audience, no doubt, I just think the quality. Why do you think that the quality doesn't automatically get recognised, or is that just a conundrum that you've kind of given up fighting against?
Well, it's the old saying, you can be something to everyone or nothing to someone, but that's definitely not the phrase. But I think that...
Is that a real phrase? I'm not sure that that's a phrase at all.
No, I think the main thing is that the right people see the content. And, it might not get seen by 1 million people, a video, but if the right person sees it, the decision makers, the fleet managers, the people that are actually going to got the purchasing power or the clout that are going to enact this. And, we went to CES in Vegas earlier this year, and, we ended up talking to the head of sustainability for GM, and we're making contacts with some really amazing people, and they're the people that are going to push things forward. There's no point having 1 million teenagers watching our videos and liking it if they're not going to buy an electric car because they're too expensive at the moment, but they might lease one. So I guess it's just working out what's valuable to those people as well. And I think, going back to what I was mentioning as well, when I asked the team, what is it that we bring to the table that is actually different to other people? And Callum just said, we've got an inherent knowledge of everyone in the industry. So when we go to these events, we automatically know people, and a lot of companies will say, "Can you make this video for us? Here's our brief." But we tend to go not sort of go, "Well, yeah, great, we'll do that brief." We sometimes like to go, "Well, how about we do it this way?" and bring people in that are going to make the right video, but also use our expertise. So our expertise is making videos, making them hopefully entertaining, hopefully inspiring, and hopefully with a return on investment for those clients. And if they've got a brief that we think isn't right, we'll speak up and we'll say that. And I think, a lot of the time when we have conversations, myself, you guys ahead of shoots, we'll brainstorm, and within 5 or 10 minutes of brainstorming, we'll suddenly come up with a really solid plan. That isn't just, let's go and make a nice video. Let's make a practical, useful video.
Do you have a film in you, Rick? Is there something, where a client doesn't just rock up and give you some money to go and film something corporate? Do you have this inner sense of something that you would like to create? Because the way that you approach a project is so professional. But is there something in your heart that you desperately want to put together and show to the world? This is who I am and what I do.
Blimey, John, I've never been asked that before. That's a really good question. I guess everyone's got a film or a book in them, haven't they? And all journalists think they can write a book, I guess, and books often get made into films. We focus on the short format content, stuff that we can make quickly, turn around, get it out there. The thought of making a film does fill me with dread because it's such a long process, and if people don't watch the whole thing, how will you feel about that? But what we've started doing is, and I love Netflix, I love a Netflix series, and what they've started doing brilliantly, whether it's Game of Thrones or House of Cards or any of these programs, which, they're a film within an episode, every single one, and they're like an hour long. And we've just been filming with a company called Vertical Aerospace, and it is fascinating what they're doing. They're creating the future of flight. They've designed these eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing devices, which are going to revolutionize the way we use the skies. So in years to come, you'll be able to hail basically it's like a helicopter / plane, which takes off vertically, so you can take off pretty much wherever there is a vertiport or a heliport, and fly vertically like an aeroplane, and it's going to reduce emissions, it's going to reduce noise pollution, it's going to reduce air pollution, and they are doing something phenomenal right there. But we're making all this short format content. How do we then bring it into a longer format? So how do we keep a story going along that people can regularly tune into and find out who they're working with? So I guess in answer to your question, John, yes, we'd like to make some longer format documentaries, maybe, a film, 100%. Yeah, maybe further down the line. But at the moment, we've got we've got a lot of work to do because there's so many people driving petrol cars still and diesel cars. How do we get them out of those? How do we get them into EVs? Realize that there is definitely an alternative to petrol cars for use cases as well. And I know we always go into this as well. Electric cars aren't for everyone, and they're not right now, but most people should be driving them. And should they drive them? Could they drive them? Would they drive them? It's something that we're focusing, and we are actually working on a little advert to those lines, which we'll speak about off camera, because it would be great to get you guys to make some cameos as you do. Bring your energy and power to the video content.
Rick, you know what? I mean, I'm always fascinated. I mean, here you are, the product that is Rick at Generate Media, bringing all of this innovation, insight, intuition into the world through your very creative media. How did you kind of get to this place? I'm sort of thinking, what was Rick at school? What did you want to be when you grew up?
He was the naughty boy.
Yeah.
I was a naughty boy.
How
I
did you
I
get
did
out of
suspended.
detention?
I got suspended, and I'll tell you about this story another
Shocker.
time off camera. But it was, yeah.
You're in good company.
Yeah, but my mum went straight to school and got me unsuspended very quickly. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, how do we get into? I guess I've always loved video. I've always loved pictures. I've always loved sort of capturing the moment, but always living in the moment as well. Love adventure, and I thought, what is I think this goes for everybody. If you're at school and you're not quite sure what you want to do when you grow up, find what you love doing and make that your job. And JC, I wish if you'd have known back then what you know now, you'd probably be a global TV presenter. The van man, you'd probably have the biggest TV channel in the world for vans, but you didn't realise it until it was later in your life.
You were going to say too late then, Rick, weren't you? You were going to say too late.
It's never too late. Generally, like we live in an age now where the guys that work in my team, they're all young. They get content. They eat, sleep, and breathe it, so they know what it's all about. And I'm really jealous of those guys because they found out what they want to do. And I was, I think, 35 until I realised what I really wanted to do. And I've always loved journalism, but it's this content side of things and asking the right questions, getting that microphone, putting it in front of people, and getting the question. And I've realised I'm quite good at asking those questions. But the team behind all these videos is what makes all this happen. And they are phenomenally good at what they do at such a young age. And I hope they're not listening in, but hopefully they will watch this. But they are bloody good at it. And without those guys, none of this content would come to pass. And, they're incredibly good at making you guys look and sound brilliant, and taking a 5-minute interview, turning it into a 30-second short. That's the key. That's what people are going to take away. And then, I guess in answer to your question, at school, I wanted to, I've always loved film, TV, and that side of things. And glad I finally found my niche, albeit too late in life.
I don't think it's too late by any stretch. What gave you the impetus? Because I mean, you could be viewed as a bit of an entrepreneur in the sense that you've gone into business for yourself and you're building your empire, adding to your number, growing your reach and the companies that you work with. What gave you the impetus to go into business for yourself?
I guess with a lot of people, and even the EV Cafe, Generate Media was born out of COVID. It was a time of reflection, and sometimes we all probably need to have a little step back in their careers and have a little bit of time to reflect and go, what do I actually want out of this? Do I want to work for myself? Can I work for myself? Some people can't. Some people are great as part of a team. Some people are great leading a team. Some people are great at coming up with ideas, but can't implement them. So you need a really good, strong team around you. So that's why I love, when we went to Carfest this year, just seeing you guys do what you do, and we were buzzing around doing our videos and stuff. But that's kind of key for us. And I forgot, what was the question now? Stay on track. That was it. Yeah, focus.
What gave you the impetus to be an entrepreneur? To be entrepreneurial, to step out and go into business for yourself.
Well, probably my mum and dad. They've always they started a newspaper back in the day, and really went for it. And it was a really tough time, and it was kind of make or break. But they stuck to the guns. Again, they brought in a really good team. And you're only as powerful as your team, aren't you? So find the talent, bring it in, give them the opportunity. And what I'm learning as well is you can't do it all. You need people that can do things that you can't do. So get people that are better than you. And I rapidly realised I was not very good at filming stuff. So Callum was first on the team sheet, and there's been a really steady form of content throughout. And YouTube, I like watching YouTube, but I don't know how to work it, how to get the most out of it. Lewis is now really, really grappling with that and doing really well. Chloe's come in, is helping with the socials and the admin side of things. And then we've got Emma as well, who's helping to write stuff. She's a really great journalist as well. But then we've got photographers like Lunny and Robin, and Peter and Charles, and all these guys that we know we can bring in when we need that expertise. So, I think you guys as well, when you need someone to come and do your video to a higher standard, you bring us in. There's stuff that you guys can do really well, and you don't need the big guns for it. But it's to say, find the expertise, let them go, let them do the hard bits for you, and you can focus on what you're really good at.
I'm fascinated by your focus on people, especially in our industry where AI is playing more and more of a part. Does that have anything much to offer you in your business? I suspect it does. Do you use it?
All the time, mate. We are embracing, and you're not embracing it, you're silly Billy, for want of a better phrase. And I think with AI, we're using it to help take the pressure off stuff. So write us a script for the Polestar 3, and suddenly it'll spit out a really great script. And I say really great, it will give you the bare bones, and then you can then tweak it and put that human touch on it. So we do use it for a lot of things, and it can't replace what we do yet. It probably will do along the line, but for actually helping to tell stories, to use AI, we use it for, we can remove stuff from a video or an image that we don't want in there. So there's if JC's sort of photo bombing, let's get rid of that. And it's amazing what you can do with it. So yeah, we're definitely embracing it, and we're helping our clients to embrace it as well, because some of our clients are a bit older, probably aren't as media savvy as some of the younger guns. So to say, well, look, we can really make your business efficient or your content efficient because we're using this stuff. We're not expecting you to know how to use it, but that's what you pay us to know how to make stuff efficient.
Now, the other question I've got for you, Rick, is I'm not a very good photographer or filmmaker, but I love buying the kit and believing that I am. As a professional, are you constantly searching for the next big camera, the next great lens, and spending oodles of money on kit? Or do you allow your talent to do 90% of the work?
Yes. So I bought some props, JC and Paul, because I know visuals are very important. So we've got some. I'm going to show you some of the cameras that we use. So they don't have to be a massive camera. So I know you've got one of these, John, and this is a brilliant.
Well,
I've
got one as well. Yeah.
Ooh, get your cameras out for the lads. And this guy is fantastic, and we love it. It's very useful, especially for doing our auto rolly shots. But sometimes you need this guy. These big old lenses, which are gonna and the Sony cameras, which just can't replace the quality you can get with that. But then there's all the gadgets. So I know you guys love a selfie stick, but
we love a selfie stick. I don't have any of my. I'm on holiday, by the way, everybody. This is why I'm not playing. I can't show you this and show you that. And
you need to get some of these, Paul. So these are Meta glasses. So you whack these off. These have got a tiny little camera just there. You see that?
Oh.
And then you press at the top there, and it starts recording. So I could be recording this conversation. It goes straight onto my phone. Also takes photos. So really useful when we're driving around and we need to do this and that, and so those cameras are great for that. This is a great bit of kit as well. The 360 cameras. So so take these sheaths off there, and you've got these very clever
sheath.
That's the right word, isn't it? No.
Oh, can we go with case?
Get your mind
too many connotations to be safe.
It's Valentine's Day today.
Anyway, so these cameras are brilliant for getting into small spaces and getting the shots that you cannot get with this. And so it's just really finding the horses for courses that are going to actually it's back on. And even smaller cameras like this, which is like This is
Good grief.
I know, there's so much. Oh, God. So that, look at the size of that.
Yeah.
You just stick it in your mouth. You know, there's so many different use cases for it. But I can't. I know it's all about the cameras, but also you've got to have the right mounts as well. And these suction mounts, this go on your head very, very nicely, actually, Jacob.
Point of view, JC POV.
Nothing to break the suction.
Exactly. So, and you suction your very expensive camera, and this can go on the front of your car, and it is very squeaky bum time whenever we're filming with this, because you're like, that's only suctioned onto the car. So we often stick a bit of duct tape and have some string on just in case. But yeah, all these different, and right down to the very basic, camera phone mounts. So at the bare minimum, when we go on a shoot, we will take that, because we know that the iPhone is a phenomenal camera, does some really good things. That 16 Pro can shoot in 4K and produce some really good shots. But the number one thing, and I know, Paul, you've struggled with this, that you must not leave without when you go on a shoot, audio, because these things, these little Rode mics are phenomenal, and they record in such a high quality that they can link into your phone, they can link into your cameras, and just makes every video production a lot better. So I'd highly recommend checking out these guys.
Can I just go down a rabbit hole just for a second? You've got a DJI mic, a DJI camera, the Osmo 3, and you've got Rode mics. Do the Rode mics connect to the Osmo?
They do, but you need to use a cable. Whereas if you use the DJI mics, you can connect Bluetoothly, which is obviously a lot less cables is better. But we are going to get some of those DJI cables specifically to use with this guy. And I would, and for the drone. I've got the drone.
We're geeking out now, but I would absolutely recommend the DJI 2s.
Oh, the mini
because
ones.
The new ones. The sound bandwidth is far bigger, so you can kind of cut out the peripheral noise. Anyway, we're getting really geeky now.
Do they have 32-bit phone?
Yes. Yeah. So you can connect to your phone, and you can Bluetooth. You can't Bluetooth directly to your phone, but you can Bluetooth to the Osmo. Yeah.
I mean, it makes all the difference.
Which glasses are those? Just, we don't want to be filmed.
I'm not recording, don't worry.
Rick, so, I mean, I want to take a little sort of left turn here a little bit. We know you, certainly on Instagram, as Sustainable Dad, which tells me two things about you. One thing we've already talked about, but there's an element about the next generation, your family, and your love for the future. As a dad, you've brought kids into the world, and talk to me about that relationship with your family and how that gives you the energy to kind of do what you do and to leave a better generation behind, type thing.
Oh, Kirby, you're getting good at these questions now, aren't you? You've been practicing.
I listen to John a lot. That's all.
Mate, it's all about family, isn't it? At the end of the day, when you're gone, no one's going to remember you like your family. So, focus on what's important to you. I've got Jack, who's 8, and Freya, who's 6, and Julia, who I won't give away her age, but she looks a lot younger, despite being married to me. And, they are my inspiration and the reason I do everything that I do. And I think that goes the same for most dads, most families and parents. So again, we developed Generate Media, me and Julia, because I didn't want to be commuting into London every day. I wanted to work for myself and wanted to spend more time to see the kids growing up. I didn't see a lot of my dad growing up because he was working his what's-its off and would get home after I'd gone to bed. Whereas my mum was sort of hybriding, and they both work so hard. But I guess you can't really teach work ethic; you can only inspire it. And hang on, no, you can't. Anyway, you know what I mean. I think we get it. That goes for a lot of things in life. I think we have a potential to create an entitled generation where they think they deserve this, but you don't deserve anything unless you work for it in a lot of cases. And I want the kids to grow up and see the value. So like Jack was saying, can I buy Jurassic Park? It's only 25 quid a computer game. I was like, 25 quid that you haven't got. Where are you going to get that from? So he's like, well, I'll earn it. And I said, what are you going to do to earn it? He goes, well, I'll play table tennis with you. And I was like, oh, what a treat. You're rubbish at table tennis.
I get to pay.
Yeah. So, but then, we discussed, we worked it out. We said, well, okay, help me in the garden. Or, I'd like to teach you how to use the drone. He was like, yeah, brilliant. Okay. So I've now motivated him to use the drone and learn how to do that. He's 8 years old, but in 5 years' time, he'll be one of the best drone pilots in our street, at least. So, and it's, I guess, with the family, we're trying to buy back time, and how do you buy back time? Make sure you're not commuting all the time, and that's why I work from home and love it. And we've got an amazing office set up here. The guys come into work. My commute's a lot quicker than theirs, but also we do a bit of hybrid working as well, so the guys can edit from home when we're not filming. And we've had a busy week this week, actually filming on 3 different locations. We've been at Fel 10 Systems in Bristol. We've been at Vertical Aerospace, also in Bristol, and a secret location, which I can't talk about yet, but also in Bristol. And stay tuned for that content on Generate Media and Sustainable Dad.
What's really interesting, Rick, is that you give 100% to everything that you do. There's energy all the time, and you and I will do 3 days maybe at a show with Paul and the whole crew. It's exhausting, absolutely exhausting. You get to the end of those 3 days having filmed and had to be creative, and you just want to get into a room and kind of have a sleep, really. How are you so resilient? How do you keep going? Because you are a human dynamo.
Oh man, that's a really nice comment. Same as you guys do. You bloody love what you do, and seeing you guys at shows, you are completely in your element. But I think you've got to get the balance right, haven't you? And I've suddenly realised I'm way too old for running around shows doing all the stuff. So I've got the young kids. I've got Callum, Lewis, Chloe, all these guys, Ollie. You've seen them running around, and they're half my age, and they're still knackered by the end of it because those shows are intense. So I guess getting that balance right is crucial. But getting people, as I mentioned earlier, bring people in to do the jobs that you're not good at, and coffee. Yeah. EV cafe.
Is there any time when stuff hasn't gone right for you? Since you've created Generate Media, have there been tough days? Because you always seem to be the positive, happy-go-lucky, hard-working guy who just stuff happens and you make it work. There must have been some really tough days where you thought, why am I doing this?
Probably some of the conversations with us.
Well, you specifically.
Yeah, it's those clients where they come back to you and goes, "Can you just?" And you're like, "Oh, if we'd have had this conversation before the shoot, probably." But yeah, there's always a workaround, isn't there? And I think it's communication is key, and we've got better at that over the years. But also, we hate waste, and I guess that goes for same for what we do. Is when we do filming, we don't want to waste any footage, and you might come to us and say, Rick, we need a video of our stand at the NEC, and then we'll go, well, we could do that, but if you've got the budget and if the appetite, we could probably also make 10 shorter versions of this, or we can get creative. We only need a little bit of content to make a lot of stuff, but the more we get into it as well, and we start to realize as well, the narrative is so important. And when we do an interview as well, we might use 5, 10, 20% of an interview, but we've still got 80% left. What do we do with that? How do we use the whole cow? And we use the fridge analogy quite a lot as well. So when we're doing the pre-production phase, when people say to us, this is what we'd like, we'd say, okay, great, we'll come and film for you. And we're going to fill up your fridge with food, right? So on one shopping trip, 1 day filming, we'll put loads of content, loads of food into that fridge, but it's all raw. If you want it cooking, we'll give it to the cooks, the editors, and then we will then turn that into a delicious meal, or you could have a load of side dishes, or you could have dessert, or you could have, batch cook some stuff for later in the year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where people then go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we like to be efficient. We like to give people value for money, and hopefully, we've got terabytes of footage of the EV cafe. So if you need any cooking, give us a shout.
Chef Boullemier.
Bonjour.
Ever the salesman.
Be our guest. Put our service to the test.
Right, shut up now. So, Rick, we have a tradition, as every good podcast should have a tradition. We have a tradition. Now, as you know, I'm away from home, and I'm going to have to use my magic powers to transmit to you the magic wand of joy. And so what I'm going to do is, so we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then it's going to appear in your hands. So ready? So we right. So up here. Gonna 3, 2, 1. Pooh.
Oh, right.
And there it is. There it is, everybody. Absolutely brilliant. For those of you that missed that, quick, over to YouTube immediately. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see Rick catching the magic wand. Now, Rick, we give this with just one wish for the industry. We've had some really good ones. So we expect you to come up with something incredibly... incredibly creative. I'm expecting a very creative wish. What would you wish for? And it can be anything, but obviously related to the industry, because we're boring like that. So go on, give us a wish.
What for the planet? Give us a bit more context.
Well, but this is it. That you're the one that brings the context to this. So when you sit back, you think, gosh, yes, I suppose it's in relation to our mission, our journey. It could be things about your kids, but I think it's relating to sustainability and the journey that we're on.
Okay.
What would you wish for?
Don't be a prat. That's as much as I can say. I think in life, whether you're driving, don't be a prat. Work as a team. I think my mum sort of summed it up quite well as well. She used to say, engage brain, and it's when you might be doing something a little bit daft, you're not really being considered about your actions, and it's engage brain. So if you're about to have a go at someone, engage brain. If you're about to beat your horn in a like engage brain. If you're going into a meeting, going into an event, anything to do with work or even with the family, engage brain, take a step back and just be a bit more considered in your actions. And Donald Trump, engage brain. Elon Musk,
find brain.
Yes, Donald, come on.
but Rick, I think that's a very, very deep and thoughtful one, because a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with around sustainability in particular is a lot of people just not engaging brain, not thinking through the value and the benefit of zero emission at the tailpipe, particularly in our inner cities, right? They say, electric vehicles are this or that or the other, or they think about things that are not important, rather than focusing on the value and the benefit of the things that we're doing. And we do that a lot in life, and we forget often that we just need to engage our brains. I'm just trying to remember the last time I did that.
Engage your brain.
Engagement brain. Yeah.
That is the point, isn't it? And when we speak to people at these different events, and we did a video that Lewis wanted to make is called EV Idiots, and instead of going to people and saying, what do you love about driving electric car, we tried to persuade people to go back to petrol or back to diesel. And so we'd go up to loads of people at these events and go and explain to them why they should go to a diesel car, and they were like, what are you talking about? And these were all people that have switched to electric, and they were like, hang on a minute, Rick, why are you, this is not. And we're like, just go with it. It will make sense in the end. And it was really interesting. I think we're going to do more stuff like that, more content like that this year, where we sort of challenge the status quo and do things a little bit differently.
Devil's advocate type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good. Rick, it's always a pleasure to get the insight that you bring and the creativity. We love, I know for sure, love watching your videos, your reviews for some of the companies that you've been working with over the last months and years are just phenomenal. They bring vehicles to life in a way that very, very few others do, and other innovations. And I'm looking forward to the vertical air one and other stuff like that. I'm looking forward to seeing them because you do get to the nub of things, and you do tell the story in a way that very, very few people can. And there's always an element of fun. Well, normally anyway. Maybe that's just with us, but we always have a lot of fun, and the output is outstanding. So it just goes to show what a great thing your parents did in putting in you that creativity and that passion to be entrepreneurial and to bring these things to life. And I'm just really grateful for the chat that we've had. John, what are your final thoughts?
I'm not a professional performer. Rick has enabled me to find the real me when I get in front of a camera. He's facilitated something better than I am. And then he makes it even better with brilliant editing and creative. And I will look back on the stuff that he has done for us already with a massive amount of pride and privilege. It's a bit like, and I'm not over-egging this, I don't think. It's a bit like actors who have worked with Spielberg, who've worked with Tom Hanks, who've worked with some of the real greats in the industry, that you are my great director. You are the one person who I've worked with who just gets who I am, how I work, what you need, and you go get it. And to be able to create something brilliant from something average is just an outstanding quality. You are every bit my Steven Spielberg.
Blimey, John.
We got him crying, everybody! Yay!
But mate, that's absolutely, music to my ears and to my heart. You can have music to your heart, but you guys make it very easy as well because you love what you do and not afraid to get in front of the camera. And the more we do it, the better you guys get as well. And it's been one of those things. Whenever we see you at a show now, you always know, God, if I need a quote or if I need an expert or if I need just to make this video more entertaining, let's get one of the EV Cafe crew on board because that you obviously bring so much expertise and passion. And I think without expertise and passion, this business is going to be very difficult and very dull as well. So yeah, thank you for everything you guys do as well, and to Sarah, Sam, and Johnny as well, who are obviously busy boys and girls doing their respective businesses, but also pushing the needle as well. And we've got a lot of work to do to get to net zero. So let's get there quicker together. Get there quicker together. That is a perfect moment to end on. Guys, listen, Rick, thank you so much. We are so grateful to Generate Media, to you, to your wider team for all that you've done for us personally, but also for the wider industry. And listen, we have loads of podcasts with lots of great people. If you've enjoyed this, please do go and check out one of the many, over 100 now, on the EV Cafe. That was a partner day. Mug, very, very fortuitous. Stole it, didn't even tell you. Check out our content on theevcafe.org or Apple, Spotify, and all of those good things. You can follow us on LinkedIn, both the EV Cafe and the EV Cafe Takeaway podcast page. So many ways to interact. And also, of course, Generate Media. Check out those guys. Sustainable Dad. Check him out. You can. Oh, there you go. We got mugs for every occasion. And listen, it's been great. And we will see you again in the very near future. Have a great day, everybody.